In addition to the human impact, there has also been a significant impact, and of course, in the commercial sector. Of course, businesses have been affected in so many ways, and like we promised you, I have a group of young people with me today to just help us understand how, first of all, their businesses have been impacted with the outbreak of COVID-19 in the country and globally as well. And what are some of the things that they can do to make sure that then the businesses do not go down the drain as far as COVID-19 is concerned? Because we don't know how or when the pandemic will be over. It could be months. Don't want to say could be years, but well, you never know, all right? And of course, just briefly introducing my guests this morning. Of course, I have with me, just immediately on my right, we have Macharia Ngatia, who is an ICT consultant, Karibu Sana. And then we also have Mana City. Hey, let me just say Mana. Sindo.
Yes, Mana is okay.
Mana Omar, who is an environmentalist and, of course, a climate change activist, Karibu Sana. Awesome. And then I have Dominic Ambletum, who is a barber, Karibu Sana. And last but not least, we have Ayan Jama, who is a foodpreneur, Karibu Sana.
Thank you.
Let me just start with you, Macharia, an ICT consultant. First of all, how do you feel? You know, earlier on, we ran a story on lockdown. There's so many people out there who are calling for a lockdown. Some are saying, you know what, we should have had a lockdown a long time ago. Some are saying, no, we cannot have it any given point, especially for business persons. What do you feel about the same?
First of all, thank you very much. What I can say is that COVID-19 has come as a shock to everyone, specifically in Africa, because most businesses, they are not ahead in terms of technology. And yes, I can say it has come as a wake-up call for us to invest more on technology so that whenever this eventuality come in future, we'll be able to counter it effectively.
Yeah. Okay. And of course, for you, I mean, for the lockdown, I mean, you see, people don't, it's either we don't really understand the magnitude of a lockdown. But like you're saying, if you invest in technology, then, well, really, lockdown or not, you might not really be much affected as compared to not, or as compared to a person who has not invested in technology. And of course, that is the use of, you know, the digital world to market, you know, their businesses. Dominic, so many people have been affected by the same, and you, of course, being a barber, just take us through, you know, how this has affected you in one way or the other.
Well, the economic impacts of the COVID-19 is a huge blow to us. Well, you find that some of the policies that have been set by the government, or rather the sanctions, let's say the social distancing rule, it is impractical to observe the social distance rule in a case where you do a service like barber. So I think it is high time the government should revisit its economic policies to make sure that they're not discriminating some kind of businesses. So it is a huge blow to us. We've recorded very low sales since, and I think the government should revisit.
Okay, all right. And I want to pick your brain on that aspect of government should revisit its policies as far as social distancing is concerned, because like you're saying, it's not favoring, you know, other aspects of businesses, and for you particularly, you know, of course, being a barber, it's not so practical, like from what you're saying, to maintain social distancing. But then again, I mean, it's said, tougher times, of course, calls for tougher measures, and it's way better off to have this policies and directives in place as compared to just letting people be, because again, the risk is higher if you let people be or not, because you're thinking about the business aspect of it. So just going back, how many clients would you see in a day compared to now? Just giving us the estimates.
So previously, before the corona hit the headlines, the customers would range between 10 and 15. But right now, they have drastically reduced. They're about half the number that was usually there.
Okay.
So technically speaking, the COVID-19 regulations, the government is over concentrating on the health part of it.
Okay.
But then if you look at the things that would come when the economy is locked down, well, we yet don't know the prospects of the COVID-19.
Okay.
So I think there will be more deaths if the economy would be locked.
Okay.
Well, if we say we'd lock down our businesses, of course it is a source of income for some people.
some people,
It
too.
is a source of employment. And if we lay off employees like we are doing right now, people will lose employment. And the government had also said that it is going to provide food for people. How long will they provide this help?
Sustain the same.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And we talked about then it's time for the government to revisit. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. And what are some of the things, probably recommendations that you might have for the government to ensure that all the areas are not really affected? I mean, aside from the businesses being affected, what can we do to ensure that we cushion some of the businesses in one way or the other? But you're also a student at the same. So then, aside from the business world, can we talk about then how your life has been, impacted by COVID-19, given that you are a student and now all schools, including universities, have also been, they have been closed as well?
Yeah, sure. So the student part of me, actually, we were on session when the all news came. So some of us were taking the CASNEB courses. Right now, we got news that the CASNEB courses have been suspended to further date. So it has affected all our plans. We are now resorting to online teaching, which is not received quite well. Of course, there was the buzz in social media. You want student rioting against the online teaching. Some complaining that they don't have bundles, some complaining of smartphones. So many problems.
Okay, all right. And again, like I said, we'll just then talk to you about what are some of the things that you think the government should do to ensure that all areas are sort of cushioned, from feeling the impact of COVID-19. But Madna, you are an environmentalist. I'm pretty sure for some of you, you are somewhat happy, and I'm using this word happy very cautiously, because so many people are saying, you know what, now the environment can sort of breathe. Because you see, we're seeing less pollution. I'm pretty sure you saw how China now, from all the foggy, aspects of it, from smoke, emissions from factories, from cars, and all those things. But now they are enjoying very clear, and fresh air. Yes. So what do you have to say? I mean, did it have to come this far, where COVID-19, for everything to come to a standstill so that the environment can breathe?
Okay, so for us, for environmentalists and climate change activists, one thing we say is the environment speaks for itself.
True.
We might be at the background, just amplifying the voice, but then most of the time it speaks for itself.
Okay.
So I can't say I'm happy as such, because I'm also a human being being affected.
People are dying, absolutely. But I'm saying in terms of just looking at how the environment
now the environment is at a benefit. I'm saying we are having more positive impacts than the negative. Because there's a decrease in air pollution, like we've seen from the satellite images by the European Space Agency, that there's been a significant drop in air pollution in certain big countries, which are the major contributors to air pollution, like China, Italy, Spain, the UK. So I cannot actually talk about Kenya because we've not been in that lockdown. But at least we have had a significant reduction in emissions from the cars because we can see there's no even traffic jams.
At the other moment. Okay. All right. But then again, even aside from like cases of air pollution, I'm looking at Nairobi and the environment in general. Garbage, we're struggling with people just litter everywhere. What would you say Kenya is at the moment? Forget the emissions from cars and all those
so
things.
From at our level, at Kenyan level, I think because of people being idle and just staying in the estates most of the time, then there's a significant increase in waste pollution, like waste matter is being thrown outside, and then we do not have the garbage collection as we've seen even in the CPD. So that's where we suffer a bit. But then when it comes to the bigger scale of climate change, the environment is breathing.
It is breathing. And I mean, looking earlier on, we were looking at, aspects of then from the flight rate. Of course, the flights have been reduced as well. So, I mean, environment speaking for itself, like you said. But for you, Ayan, you are a foodpreneur. From the government's directive, restaurants, most of them are closed. And the government says if you have to open them, make sure this is purely takeaway and not people should not sit there and eat from there. So for you, how has this impacted you, either negative or positive?
Oh, okay. So basically, first, for foodies like me, we do online business whereby people get to order food online and they get the delivery.
Okay.
So the one part that has really affected us is basically everyone is at home right now. And I feel like everyone wants to try cooking because it's fun and all that.
Yeah.
So it has really reduced the amount of clients we used to receive before.
Really?
Right now, because everyone is at home, they're thinking of essential needs.
Okay.
No one is thinking of buying burgers. No one is thinking of just ordering for pizza anymore. You're thinking like, if I spend 1,000 on pizza, that's going to feed like 2 of us. What about the whole family?
Yeah.
You have to put that. So basically, that is the negative part. And also the market, where we go buy our own products, it's a bit tricky right now. Before you find the market was open by 5 in the morning, so by 4:30, if you're there, by 6:30 you'll be back and you start your work. So basically, right now it's a bit of a challenge because the time also they open from 6 and all that. Yeah. So the positive side, though.
No.
Yeah, the positive side is at least people are now having that family time. Ladies are now actually more concentrating in cooking.
Okay.
And still people ask me for recipes, which is still okay for my business. It's not bad. At least I'm getting that exposure.
Okay.
And yeah, everyone is at home. Brace yourselves, guys. Maybe we might have, this economy might go down, but I just, yeah, that's it.
Because see, there's some people who are saying, you know what, fine, before we used to probably thinking about you have to go to work every single day, so you have to use money for transport and all those things. But right now we're home, we have like some little extra cash here and there, and we're feeling lazy, we do not want to cook. So what is the best way? You just order in, eat with friends and family. So give us an estimate of before or pre-COVID-19. How many deliveries would you do in a day and now?
Okay, so for example, before, let's say for a burger business, you might get like at least 10 orders a day or 15 compared to how the day is, and also the month. It also depends because end of the month almost you always get good business. But now, I'm telling you, the number is drastically going down because you find like in a day you get 5 clients, and now sometimes people don't even call you because people are trying to save up. Everyone is scared of the lockdown because we don't know when it's going to happen. So people buy necessary stuff for their homes.
Okay. All right. So then are there things that, and we'll talk about this later, are there things that you feel, and even people who have like online businesses, and especially for you, being a foodpreneur, do you or have you thought about then shifting?
My dream is to actually
a little bit and offer, let's say, other services as compared to just food. Like for instance, you talked about an aspect of so many ladies are at home right now. We want to impress our partners, we want to impress our children, so we're learning to cook. So then shifting a little bit from then doing deliveries to offer like online classes as far as cooking is concerned.
Yes, the other advantage part is at least for me, more of I'm trying to associate with my clients verbally and all that. And right now, people are actually paying attention to me as a foodpreneur, because right now people, whenever I post something, I get people asking me, how did you do that? Like, can I have a recipe and all that? So basically, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. All right, and we'll look at how then can we also help other people, especially for businesses, online businesses. Some of them do deliveries, others, different types of businesses online. Like, Masharia says, people should tap into, the digital world so that then lockdown, we don't know when this pandemic will be over, so we can take advantage of this. But then again, looking at the country, I mean, 50% of people do not have access to the internet, all right? So then for such people who have businesses, yes, offline, they do not have access to internet, what happens to them now?
So what I would say is that those people who don't have websites, it's high time they start rethinking on their strategy to come up with one. They can start by registering a domain, which is the very first basic step of going online. So considering that's what we do, we can actually help them come up with good websites, come up with good domains, and then also in the part of collaborating online, there are some resources like the Google Drive, whereby they can utilize those services to make sure they are collaborating with anyone, no matter the geographical location. Yeah, so I would say it's a waking up call for them to invest in technology and the right technology and permanent technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you see, they don't have internet. Like, let's say people in the rural areas, some of them have businesses. Probably someone has a shop right next to their doorstep, or any other form of business, probably selling, products from their farms. They do not have internet at all. So then again, what can they do in terms of just ensuring that then this does not go, down the drain right now?
So what I can say is they just accept the fact that you'll be hit.
We do not want to accept. We want to take advantage. All right.
They have to accept that you'll be hit by this.
Okay.
But then I see this is the future, actually. So after they come out of this eventuality, then they have to relook and try to invest in technology, because that's where the world is heading.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But then again, for that aspect of then integration, I mean, if someone has probably their businesses online, is there a way then the two can work in terms of, let's say this one is offline, this one is more, in the digital space? How can then, let's say, these two groups of people work together to ensure that their businesses still stay afloat?
So in Kenya, there are some websites that are already established, and they act like a multi-vendor website. One example is Jumia.
Okay.
So if you have a restaurant somewhere, you can opt to registering it in Uber Eats or such applications, so that everyone, whenever someone looks for your services, that they want to purchase maybe a pizza, like she said, someone will just go on the website and key in the name of the survey they want, and then the restaurant, consider they have registered their restaurant on the Jumia Uber Eats, then it pop up, and then the customer will just buy their service from there.
Okay.
So they should utilize the already established websites.
Websites as well.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll talk about then how, because you see, for most people say the internet, it's a very huge space, and sometimes it can be very intimidating because you don't even know where to start. What do you do? But like you said, some of the basics is just set up a domain, and then from there you will know how. So I think we'll, given that you are here, you can give us some of those steps on what do I do, where do I start? Because you see, if you compare yourself, you are just beginning or just entering into the internet space, and then someone who has is already established, it can be very intimidating for someone, because people will be like, okay, so what makes me think that people will come to my business and not the person who has already established their presence as far as the internet or online is concerned. But then again, in terms of then the environment, this is a wake-up call for all of us, as a continent. But did we really have to wait until now? There are so many messages out there about taking care of the environment. Do not litter, do not do this, do not do that. But really, when it comes to then implementing or executing, that is where it's the biggest problem for so many people. So as environmentalists, given the situation as right now, what are some of the lessons that people can learn from now and then post COVID-19 will be able to sustain, and especially where the environment is at the moment?
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Ibru TV for bringing up an environmentalist for once, because this issue has been put it always comes last.
Okay.
We all, in our country, we always prioritize other issues like politics. Now it's COVID-19 everywhere. And we hardly talk of our environment.
Yeah.
But then I'd say there are some researchers who've doing research trying to link up COVID-19 to environmental degradation, like encroaching into wildlife habitats. Like we've heard about COVID-19 being caused by the wet markets in China, selling of the live animals. So these animals are actually hosts to certain viruses.
True.
So when we come into contact with it, then that's how the viruses come. We have the instances of Zika virus, West Nile virus. All of those have come from animals. Yeah. So for me, the lesson here is let's take care of our environment.
All right.
Yeah. We cannot do it abruptly, but with our individual efforts, then we can do it. And then let's prioritize it.
Okay.
In Kenya, I can say we have very good policies. We have very good acts, but we do not implement them.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
implementation
that is the
part
problem.
is where
Like the
problem
Solid Waste
is.
Management Act, it's a very good plan, but then it's not implemented. So we have a lot of pollution
Okay.
in our country, and also the environment. People are degrading it. People actually don't care about the environment.
Okay.
But then this is I can say this is the pandemic that we cannot await.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Sure.
Later on. Now, you talked about an aspect of now the environment can breathe. Okay. And people are looking at you like, wait, what do you mean? Because one, we know we're not supposed to litter the environment. We know that we're not supposed to cut down trees. We know that we're not supposed to, you know, in terms of then factories and all those things. But for business people, they'll tell you, listen, we need to manufacture things, you know, we need to produce things because, again, at the end of the day, there are businesses that need the same, all right? So then in terms of looking then and now in terms of either, you know, air pollution or even other forms of just polluting the environment, give us picture, like paint the picture for us on how things were then and how they are now and how then the COVID-19 has sort of enabled the environment to breathe. Yes, people are dying and it's very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But then again, from what you're saying, the environment is now clear and the air is a bit fresher.
Okay, so the concept of the environment is breathing is
Okay.
from, yeah, you know, on our normal daily lives,
Okay.
there are a lot of vehicles on the road.
True.
There are a lot of planes going rounds,
But
right?
we need to move.
Yeah, we need to move, right? I totally agree with you.
True.
But then this is what increases air pollution. We have the industries discharging effluent waste into the rivers,
Okay.
like the Nairobi River, for instance. So it turns out to be a sewage instead of a freshwater river.
Okay.
So whatever COVID-19 has done, it's just locking us in our houses because we are told to stay safe and stay at home.
Yeah.
So the event that most of us stay home, now the environment breathes because it's not degraded. There are no factories to release water into the rivers. The planes are grounded. There are no vehicles, or there are limited amount of vehicles. So that's the aspect of the environment breathing. But then on a normal daily life, there's what we call the polluter pay principle. But again,
Tell us more about the same.
it means that if you degrade the environment, like you pollute the environment, you have to pay some amount of money to restore it back.
Okay.
Like if you cut a tree, you need to plant a tree,
too, or-
right?
yeah.
So all these industries that are discharging waste, hazardous waste into the ocean or into the rivers are supposed to pay some amount.
Okay.
But then I don't know what they do.
Somewhere
Sadly,
along the line,
yeah,
things just
it does not happen. So the environment finds a way to retaliate.
Okay.
And that's what is happening in this, what we call climate change. This is a way of how the climate system will retaliate to our own actions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we can talk about then the basics, because this is sometimes we do things and we don't know that this is causing or is impacting the environment in one way or the other. So I think we'll be looking at that in a while. But for you, in terms of then that aspect of social distancing, for you, like you're saying, it's a problem. But then again, looking at the other side, I mean, there's aspects of you can wear a mask, make sure that, you know, maintain good respiratory hygiene. Like, for instance, if you have to cough, make sure you cough on your elbow or use a disposable tissue and all those things. If you implement those directives, don't you think you can still run your business?
Well, you will still run your business, yeah?
Okay.
But then there is the curfew hours.
Okay. Yeah.
What if our optimal hours have been affected by the curfew?
Okay.
So you
On
find
a normal
that
day, pre-corona, all right? From what time to what time were you operating your business?
from 6, okay, it was from morning
Okay.
to around 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Okay.
So from 6 p.m. to 9, we used to receive a lot of customers.
Okay.
So right now the 6 p.m. has turned out to be a time that people rush to their homes. So it will take again time for people to get used to the new time. Yeah.
Okay. And then again, but is there a way then that you can probably shift, you know, your sort of like your business in one way or the other in terms of, fine, everybody is at home. Have you thought about probably then offering the services at home as compared to waiting? Because the 6, I mean, the 6 p.m. is where everybody is rushing to go, you know, to go home and be with their family and with the curfew. So then, Is that possible? Is that something that you can probably think about?
Practically, we cannot work at home.
Why?
We cannot work from home.
No, not you per se, like working from home, but
Yeah.
offering the services. Let's say right now, all the men are at home. Most of them are complaining, like, Sasa to find some of our wives are actually using us as, salonists to make their hair and all those things. But then can you take the services to their places?
Maybe I think about that.
Okay.
But right now, I've not thought of a thing like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, actually, suggestion that I would give the government
All right.
is cushioning the SMEs.
Okay.
Well, you find that the SMEs contribute to about 3/4 of the economy. It contributes a huge chunk of money to the economy. So what the government should do, because a curfew technically is shutting down some businesses, those operating within those that used to operate within the hours that have been stipulated by the government.
Okay.
So when I talked about the government coming in between, I knew that people were affected. It is a source of income for most of the people. The Kenyan market cannot operate in a total lockdown. And when the government said that it will distribute food, I doubted that. Because look at the situation in Turkana County. It has been affected by hunger. The government has failed to implement the same there. So will it cater for more than 40 million Kenyans?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And now, oh, really? Okay. You are really, really tough on the government. But then again, isn't this a price that in one way or the other will have to pay for, let's say, a given amount of time before things then get back to normalcy? I mean, look at China right now. They are slowly going back to normal, to how life was. Some of the businesses are opening at the moment, and this is because they have been able to contain the spread of the virus. So from a business person's perspective, is this something that probably you might be willing, or you may be willing to, the price you may be willing to pay for a bit of time before we're able to contain the situation?
Yeah. So you talked about let's say for the instance of my business, people wearing masks, attending to their clients while they are following the directives by the health ministry.
Okay.
That's right. But then the behavior part of it, the people are not yet used to the new times.
Okay.
So it will take a time for them to get used to it. So right now, I think we should just work with the low sales that we're getting.
Okay.
And that's why I insisted on the government coming in between and cushioning the SMEs.
SMEs.
Yeah.
All right, so then we can take, I think, some of your recommendations for the same. How then is the government, or can the government cushion SMEs to ensure that, again, post-corona, I think we can still go on with our lives and still be productive as well. Now, for foodpreneurs, in terms of then offering or shifting, the businesses just a little bit, in terms of then you can still offer, cooking classes, for people online and all those things. So for you then, what are you doing to ensure that then your business is not going afloat? Because at the same time, we have to obey, the rules and directives, pay a little price from what he's saying, protect the SMEs. But then again, government is not able to, because their priorities as far as ensuring that they're keeping all the Kenyans safe, as far as preventing or protecting them from contracting COVID-19. But then again, from that aspect of paying a little bit of price, experience some losses here and there, but then again, that aspect of shifting, the mindset.
All I'm going to say is loyalty is very important when it comes to business. Your clients should always come first. Despite this pandemic we're having, as you said, it's a price we're all paying, and it's not like it's an offer, it's compulsory for all of us. Whatever you're going to have, it's what you're going to have. So for me, what I'm trying to do is I'm sharing a lot of recipes with my clients and my followers, because at the end of the day, the pandemic is going to be over, inshallah, and we will still need each other. You will need my services, I will need you to buy my product. So I feel like if we put our clients on hold right now, we're also helping them. This pandemic is a bit, it's mentally affecting a lot of people, like sitting idle and all that. So what I'm trying to do is be as spontaneous as much as I can, share a lot of recipes, and help people keep positive.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And let's talk to then very briefly, because we need to go for a break in the next 2 minutes or so. For then again, you see from the business persons here, they are really like, you know what, no, we cannot afford it, because there's some people who depend on our businesses as their source of income, and even ourselves, businesses are going down, what will happen? We need to pay rent, we need to buy food, we need to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then as an environmentalist, what would you advise in terms of, yes, preserving the environment, making sure that we conserve it, but at the same time not paralyzing, you know, the economy?
Okay, from my own perspective, I can say we also, the environmentalists, we're also paying the price, because it's not like we're exempted from paying rent.
from the same. Okay.
So what I would advise them is to just take things positively, because nobody had, like, nobody wanted
for this.
Yes, nobody wanted this COVID thing to come to us. And so we need to sacrifice also. For me personally, I'm okay. I can stay home for the environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So just sitting down and watching the updates and seeing now we have an option of like even decreasing the rate at which climate change is happening is sort of a positive thing to me.
Okay.
And to them, I'll say everybody is affected.
True.
We just stay together.
Okay.
Yeah. Unify.
Okay.
They should not think like we're happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and when we get back to normal, then let's conserve our environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about then how are we able to sustain this post-corona, because you see that aspect of going back to where life used to be. We do the things that we used to. Again, some of the things, especially the environment, we might actually forget to continue with the trend, and that is on conserving the environment. So we'll talk about that in just a while, but for now we need to take a very short break. But again, if you want to be part of the discussion, if you are a business person watching us right now and thinking, okay, what do I do in terms of, you know, making sure that I do not lose my business, I do not lose my clients, again, feel free to give us a call on 0791 478 or send us a text message on 40920, and of course we'll be glad to hear your feedback as well. We'll also be having a financial advisor as well to just help us understand. So then what do we do in terms of prioritizing, you know, making sure that we have the necessities, because we do not know when the pandemic will be over. But for now, we have to say goodbye to our business persons on the panel. Thank you very much for coming by today, and of course just sharing on what are some of the things that we can do to ensure that we keep our businesses afloat. We do not kill our businesses, you know, in general. And all the best.
Thank
and
you
please
so
stay
much.
safe.
Thank you. You too.
All right, so we'll see you after this very short break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Glad you are still with us. Of course, this is New Day. We're just looking at the impact of COVID-19 on all areas. We're talking about the environment, the economy, not forgetting the health as well. And like we said, if you want to be part of the discussion, come on, we're live. So that means you can call in anytime on 0791 478 990. Give us your view, feedback, you know, comment, or as far as COVID-19 and how it has impacted life, you know, in general, because we've had to make changes, which are our new normal as well. So of course, to continue with the discussion, we have Ann Kimani. She is a financial educator. She is an entrepreneur as well as an ambassador for youth economic empowerment. Karibu sana. Thank you very much for joining the discussion. Here. And you know, in terms of the entrepreneurship part of you, first of all, what do you do, and how has COVID? Yeah, I'm just going to put you on the spot because we've had business persons here who are like, you know what, man, we as the African, we are in trouble. So for you, yeah, how has this impacted you and your business?
Okay, cool. I wear many hats because I'm employed as well as I'm in business. Yes.
All right.
So in my work, I'm actually a business development manager. Right. In my other small businesses, because again, you have to have an active and a passive income. So in my passive income, I have an online taxi as well as a salon. So that's mainly what I do. Right. So in those two areas. So other than that, I also do other things that don't really generally bring income. So I really do a lot of financial education, and that's why I'm really here just to be able to see how do we move together in terms of our businesses and how are we going to survive this way. So that's the reason I'm here.
Okay.
So I'm happy to be here.
All right, and we're happy to have you as well.
Yeah.
But again, for you as a business person, let's talk about then how has this affected you? Because talking about an aspect of salon online taxi, well, you're still okay during the day.
Not so bad.
Not so badly off.
Yeah.
But then again, because we had Dominic here, and he is a barber, and he's like, you know what, that aspect of social distancing really, it's not practical, you know, for us.
Sure.
So for you, are you experiencing the same?
What I would say is, it depends also on the space that you have, and also your clients. Because if you can be able to schedule your clients and say, if you have a database or a call log of your clients, try call them and find out how they're doing. And maybe if someone needs something to be done, maybe their nails, their hair and stuff like that, you can have one person at a time. Tell them you can just have a schedule. Basically, that's how we're trying to really navigate through this, by the way. You can't have so many people, especially if you have a small space. So just try see how you can schedule your clients, keep in touch with them. Don't lose your clients. That's the most important thing.
Yeah,
please make sure their nails and their hair looks good, even though, but if you can, or if they need the service. If they can't and they don't need the service, then it's fine. Let them stay at home, but just check up on them.
All right. Oh yeah, do not just be like, we're all at home, so forget about them.
Just check up on them.
Out of sight, out of mind. Don't do
I
that
know, right?
for your business. All right, then let's talk about then the aspect of financial educator, because I mean businesses are suffering, people are suffering as well. There's some people who have been laid off, people are taking pay cuts. You know, it's just a difficult moment, and we can understand from all aspects. Everything has sort of been put on a pause. All right, so and businesses have been greatly affected. So right now, in terms of then making financial decisions, and especially for so many people who, and especially for those who earn on a daily basis, and right now, of course, there's that aspect of curfew, other businesses have closed and all those things. So what would you tell us, you know, during this particular time?
I think for me, one thing that we all have to appreciate is that small businesses are really under duress. It's a reality of life. And even you, if you have a job right now, because we realize in the statistics of our economy right now, small businesses actually, SMEs occupy almost 98% of our businesses. And they have so many employees actually. Every year, I think they employ over 300,000 annually. And you can imagine so many people are out there saying, oh, we've lost our jobs, or we have unpaid leaves, or we really don't know about. There's a lot of income uncertainty. And to me, one thing that I'm really learning is just hold on there. Just hang on there, don't give up, because for sure, it's not like Kenyan thing. It's really globally. And what I would like you to do is just reassess the situation, or assess the situation. Sit down with your CFO, especially because they're the one who understand the financial bit and how this is all affecting the supply chain, because there's a lot of disruption in terms of supply chain, and now the logistics bit. There's so much going on. And just sit down, don't panic. Try see how you can be able to assess your situation right now. And one thing I would request, especially for those who are retrenching, rehiring is very expensive. It's so expensive. And even when the business go down, like you have nowhere to start, to come back up, it's very difficult. Actually, it may never come back. So to me, I would really say, don't overreact. Try see how you can assess the situation, because economy is like that. Someone never said there's no bad economy. It's either you're doing well or you're not doing well. And if you start a business, you expect those things. And maybe it's a learning point, because not just as businesses, but as individuals, if you really have an income, the savings really help. The cash reserve is everything. At least to sustain you for the next 3 or 6 months, even though you don't have income, at least you can eat. You can pay your employees, you can pay your rent, you can pay the basic utilities. So for me, it's don't think of giving up. Don't think of giving up. Hold on there. I'm just really hoping that our government can be able to do something, even just in containing the situation, as well as just be able to support the SMEs. But don't give up, because going down and coming back, it might be actually very difficult, or even not possible at all.
All right. And before we talk to our environmentalists, who's like, we gotta try. We need to try. You know, we have to pay the price. You know, so in terms of just ensuring that we are able to sustain this even past COVID-19. So in terms of then because we've seen a lot of a big magnitude. You talked about an aspect of CFO. Someone is like, what is that? And some people cannot afford the same. They're like, I cannot afford then the services of a CFO. So we'll get back to that in a minute. But for now, we've seen other countries being on a total lockdown, shutdown as well. And this has affected so many people in so many areas, whether in business or not. That my question is then to you, is this what it takes then to reach the climate, goal or the climate, targets that have been set aside? Like, do we need something of this magnitude to then achieve the climate goals or target?
Not really. I can say, you see, even when you look at the data, there's been a rapid drop in air pollution. So for my own perspective, because I can get someone who differs with me, for us, for like climate change, for us not to get there, we need to take things like one step at a time. Yeah. So there are, what do we call them?
Ways,
measures that we can use to combat climate change, and it doesn't have to be this drastic. This was just unexpected. And for us, for me personally, I take it as a warning that the climate, the climate pandemic now will be even worse.
And that is if we do not
like minimize on our air pollution, maintain the safe emission levels. There are always those people who measure the emission levels, stop discharging effluent waste into the rivers and into the ocean. Or if you do, there's a polluter pay principle. There's somehow they clean it, I'm sure. So cut a tree, plant one. So you don't have to disrupt your normal life. It just gives, you just have to get a bit of a sacrifice from our end. And then, of course, prioritizing climate agendas, environmental issues, instead of only looking at the economy. Because actually the climate and the environment is the backbone to all this.
Not forgetting health. Okay, then, in terms of the ways, because you said we all have a role to play. It might not be big, but in our own little way, we can try as much as possible and ensure that, fine, the environment is a bit cleaner, the air is a bit fresher right now, the rivers are a bit cleaner as well. But then again, because you see, post-COVID-19, like what Anne was saying, is that everybody will then be rushing to sort of pick up either where they left or start afresh, and it might be a little bit aggressive in terms of making sure that then we put our businesses somewhere and all those things. We can lose that aspect of then preserving the environment as it is and then continuing with that motion of making sure that the environment is much, much cleaner. So in our own little ways, what are some of those ways that we can employ to ensure that we conserve the environment at the end of the day?
So I'll talk about my own personal ways. I'm a person. I'm acting alone, of course, with an organization. But then basically it's myself. So it first, it takes self-will to do this. Because I sacrifice a lot of things, even my work, because I work. So whatever I'll recommend is everybody to take part in conserving the environment. Like, for instance, I have a project that I'm doing where I go, it's in Isli. So whatever I'm trying to do is create awareness. First of all, seek information. Where I'm, the stretch where I'm cleaning, are these people aware? Because they're the pollutants. They're the ones who throw in plastics and waste into the stretch of place where we wanted to clean. So you talk to them first. First of all, what I've noticed is there is lack of awareness
out there. On why it's important to
clean the environment. So I think all the aspects of awareness creation and then clean up, because if you create awareness, then we improve the chances of not recurring, like the situation occurring again. So if I talk to these people and they understand that if I pollute the environment, these are the consequences, then they'll refrain from polluting the environment. Some other people are doing it out of ignorance. Like, what does it cost me? There's somebody who's paid to collect.
Or someone is not watching.
So I think we need to invest more on our environment, especially the awareness creation part. Because I don't believe that me, on my common sense, I know the effects of plastic to the environment, then I just deliberately throw away plastics. Yeah.
After all, nobody's watching. Okay, so make a conscious decision and make an effort to preserve or conserve the environment. But then there's that aspect of now on a bigger scale, where again factories right now have closed down, so there's not so much emission, you know, into the air or into, you know, effluent into the rivers as well. But then that aspect of now, when we come back, we want to make sure that we mass produce. You know, people are buying our products and all those things. So then on a bigger scale, what would you say, and that is in terms of investing in the environment? She talked about an aspect of we all have our own little ways that we can do to ensure that we preserve the environment post-COVID-19. But now on a bigger scale, given that now we are on the rush, we need things to move.
Yeah, I think, of course, when things come back, we're just hopeful and praying that they don't last for so long. Okay. Maybe people may not really care about environment.
Absolutely.
Sadly to say, I'm so sorry, but sadly to say, someone would be like trying to like get their feet somewhere. Yeah. People may not really care so much about environment, but to me, it's something that doesn't have to be done post this COVID-19. Okay. It's something that companies do. Like where I work, we do CSR. Okay. Like where even there's a time we had a yearly program, the Obama Initiative, and we went to Kayole to do stuff. So I think it's not like a COVID-19, post-COVID-19 thing. It's something that needs to be done every single time. Yeah. But we appreciate that. We need to like really be considerate about the environment. Okay. How there's no however. I'm just trying to not contradict myself. Yeah. But it should be an ongoing thing. Yeah. The awareness is great. It's going to impact so much, and even people will be able to see, because guys have already observed the difference. Like right now, I think I clean my hands all the time. Yeah. People are really able to see, like the roads are very clear. Like there's no traffic. There's so many good things going on, and I really hope that we keep that. Okay. We keep that. We don't lose it. Maybe COVID-19 was supposed to come and teach us such things. I don't know, but let's not lose it. Let's continue doing it. So in terms of investment, guys, companies can really give money for such projects. Yeah. They can even tell the employees once in a month or in a quarter, let's go out, let's go to Isli, let's go to Kayole, let's try to do stuff and create this awareness. So they can give money or do it, and doing it maybe physically or personally has more impact, and even you feel like you're really doing something for your country as well.
But don't you think we all know that?
We do, but that's the reason why. That's the reason why she's there and I'm not there. Because that's the reason we all have. We are passionate about different things. Yes. I'm passionate about how our small business is going to earn money and have these factories back. Yeah, exactly. But now she's thinking about the environment. So we're able to balance both aspects. So we are both different but the same thing. Okay. Yeah. So all right. We appreciate.
You know, right now, talk to a 4-year-old or 3-year-old, not really, but 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, they'll tell you, yeah, we need to preserve the environment. You know, they see you throwing a plastic, they'll be like, why are you,
what are you doing?
So we all know that, but I think that aspect, like what you were saying earlier on, implementation is where then the bigger problem is. Now then, from an environmentalist's perspective, so then what could we do to sustain this? Now the air is fresher, you know, all those things, but then when it comes to sustaining it, is where the problem is, because you know, from what Anne is saying is that when the companies are coming back, the environment will be the last thing on our mind. So what are some of the things that we can do to ensure that we sustain this going forward?
Okay, there's responsible production. Okay, there is responsible disposal, and then we do things moderately. Okay. We don't have to halt our lives for the environment, because that's where it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
So when you're producing, maybe when you're in a factory, maybe owner of a factory producing, you need that money, right? True. And you're employing people. So you're helping the economy. Well. So just make sure there's responsible production. Okay. Yeah, like your emissions goes with the normal daily rates that is supposed to be there. Okay. And also for the major problem now is responsible waste disposal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's
this
like
comes,
a global problem.
Now this is for everybody. This is an individual effort. We don't have to see Kanjo coming to collect garbage for us. Yeah. We need to take it as our personal initiative. Like for instance, if I go clean Isli, because we actually postponed the event because of this COVID-19. So if I go clean there, I'm not I'm not going to wait at Kanjo will take this now to where it's supposed to go. So I'll do it as my own personal initiative to segregate the waste and take the plastics to somebody who will recycle it and the paper waste. And then the other food waste maybe to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And I mean, even walking around town, I'm pretty sure you will see the bins, of course, separated and according to what you're supposed to put in. But again, you know, humans.
Like I said,
sometimes we might not be able to do the same.
Like I said, the problem is on an individual basis.
Basis.
We can actually control the industrial production a bit because these people risk losing their businesses, so they can actually comply. The problem is the policies and the acts we have are not being followed. But then for the individual, you just have to have it within you. And that's why we have our job of creating awareness.
All right. Pass as much
awareness as possible. Get at least a few people who turn into my side to help push the agenda.
All right. And now in terms of then, right now, there's so much uncertainty. First of all, as to when the pandemic will be over. We've seen a lot of people, number of people really panic buying because they're like, you know what, you never know, probably things will run out of stock and we do not have it. And in the event that we get into and then total lockdown, especially in the country, people are like, so now what happens? We might have to make sure that we have enough food. So people are buying, panic buying. If I can say the same, yes, we have been advised by the government not to panic buy, be conscious because someone else might need the products that you're buying in bulk. But then again, from then that aspect of spending as a people, what would you say in terms of just prioritizing and making sure that we have enough, like you said, in our reserve?
You know what really fascinates me or what makes me worried is because people know that this is not the time for spending on non-essentials. People know that. But we have to keep reminding them. We have to tell you, Anne, you don't know the next time you're going to get your income. So whatever you have, please take care of the small resources that you have. And I think to me it's a reminder because what I would like people to do, I hope they've done right now because it's been 3 weeks, 2 weeks, the third week right now. I really hope that you've sat down with your spouse, even in your just house, and just analyze the finances and understand where you are at with how much you have and how much you owe, right? So pretty sure you'll be able to see maybe you need a house, you need food, you need the basic commodities that you need. And of course offsetting on the other side that now that some people are not going to the office, you can save on transport, like that is fuel, you can save on parking, you can save on food, like whoever normally eat out. There's so many things that you can be able to save on. So right now, have a fresh budget. It's called emergency budget or some crisis budget. Just have that budget and be able to see, now that we are at home, how much do we need? And now, with the cash that we have, are we able to survive for the next like 3 months? Because what I'm really telling people, you don't know, many people, yes, have their jobs, but they don't know what their employers are going through right now to just sit down on the table and try to figure out, are we really going to sustain our employees for the next 3 months or do we pay them half salary? So to you as an individual, this is not the time to just call boys at home and tell them, hey, we have drinks.
We're told not to
honestly, I feel, exactly. No, I don't think this is a time to really spend on things that are not essential. I feel like you should have the priorities right. This is a time to be in charge of your finances. Like have the CFO at home. I keep saying about that. Be the chief financial officer in your house, organize your resources and just make people understand that whatever the situation we are in, we don't know how long it will take. So whatever we have, whatever resources we have, let's use them wisely. And to me, one of the things that I would like to tell people is if you can't do that right now, then in the next 2 months or 1 month, you'll actually run out of stuff and now you'll actually be depressed because right now, there's so many people with financial distress. Someone knows for sure I have like 10,000, but I don't know with my kids and rent and stuff like that whether I'm going to sustain myself or my family. So the call is right now. Sit down if you've not done it, have a crisis budget, see how much are you saving if you're not going to the office and on the logistics bit, and what can go where. So analyze your resources right now and make the best out of them. Please be in charge of your finances. Please be in charge of your finances.
But you see, some people were saying we were much better off when the kids were in school, when I was in the office, because you might find that some workplaces, they provide, meals let's say for the day, so someone does not really have to spend on the same. But now everybody is at home, you know, so we have to make like 3 meals in a day. The children are at home, so they need snacks, you know, in between. So some people are like, you know what, the budget is actually higher now as compared to then when life was, you know, pre-COVID-19. Yeah.
I look at it from a different perspective because I'm like, those days you could go out on Friday and drink like 5,000. Like those days it was recreation. You could just say, today I'm not going to have this food for the office. I can order food outside. Like you're going to pay like transport fare or fuel your car. I'm trying to see, how about you have your even a meal schedule? How about you say, this is how we're going to survive for breakfast, this is bread and whatever and whatever, then lunch and supper. So to me, I'm looking at it in terms of those people saying that they need to look, first of all, analyze the situation and look at how much was I spending when I was employed and the kids were in school, and how much do I really need, not want, how much do I really need to spend right now. So if each person needs to analyze both situations, then conclude and say, okay, now that I am having this, how much cash do I have? Do I need to look at maybe my family members? Maybe, I don't know. Every situation is different. Every situation is different.
But then again, someone might say, fine, that might be probably like practical for someone probably who has been saving, has had probably like a financial stability for quite a while, so they might have some bit of reserve here and there. But for that person who then in the morning has to go out, work, and the daily living, come and spend it on the children, and then, you know, the cycle continues. So chances are they might not have anything in the reserve as are now. The children are at home. All right, and then they want to eat. Then they don't know what it is, COVID-19, and there's some things that adjustments that we have to make, you know, during the day, or this will have to change our lives in one way or the other. So that person who depends on a daily living does not have really anything in the reserve. What happens? Do we then alter our meals, make sure that probably we eat less? What happens?
Gosh, I think for me, I think it's a learning situation.
For everybody.
We're all learning, because even you find there are people who've been working, but they're still in that situation. That means they have not had savings. And I'm not really trying to say this is a time to like really feel bad about yourself. This is a time to forgive yourself and just tell myself, I didn't save, but this is where I am at. And basically look forward for tomorrow and say, this is where I'm going to get the food. And maybe because if you have kids, they can't sleep when they're hungry, try see from the digital platforms if you can borrow some money. I've seen Safaricom they have loosened up their measures in terms of payments and stuff like that. Try see even, first of all, talk to your family members, see, because to me, before even you go to the borrowing in terms of the digital platforms, try see what the resources. If I say you can start selling maybe a table or lend someone something, I may sound like I'm being crazy, but to me, I'd rather sell something I don't need than to borrow the money, right?
I get it.
If I have accessories and things I feel like, you know what, this thing I can lease it out or just sell it and just get food for my kids. I can do that instead of borrowing. But if you feel like in your house there's nothing to sell, there's no one you can just tell, you know what, tell me I wash your house tomorrow and you pay me something for my kids. If you feel like you're really the last point of your hope, you can just maybe go to M-Shwari and just borrow some money. However, have your plans in terms of, yes, I borrowed today, but use it well. And also try think about then how am I be able to repay this? So we can sell stuff.
But again, don't sell things that you need.
Of course, things that you don't really need in the house. Accessories, I think, I think it's an idea, but all
right, and we have like very few minutes to so as we wind up in terms of then looking at the economic aspect of it, but also the environment aspect of it, talked about an aspect of it's very, very important for all of us in our own little ways to be conscious about it and make that effort, even at home, because right now, I mean, we are eating, we're eating. And so that aspect of then litter and all those things, fine, the traffic, emissions and all that has reduced in a way. But then again, there's also this other aspect of litter and all those things. So then going forward, post-COVID-19, to ensure that the environment still remains clean, it's able to breathe, because there's a way, like you said, the environment just treats itself and treats us even as a people. And the fact that we do not want to lose this. Yes, we did not expect this to happen. It has happened. So many people are dying from the same, which again, it's pretty much unfortunate. And but then again, so moving forward in like 30 seconds.
Okay.
Preserve the environment.
My recommendation is I'll approach it from the funnel, like the funnel method.
Okay.
So we're starting from up, which is the government.
Yeah.
Let the government ensure that whatever regulations is there, protecting our environment is followed to the latter, it's implemented, and all the other agencies like NEMA and all those. And then let's come to us as individuals. We need to be responsible. We really need to be responsible because one way or another, for me, I'm convinced that these zoonotic diseases are somehow related to the interaction with the environment. We've interacted way too much that we shouldn't.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So put it in your mind that if you go back to your normal life and you're like, oh, I don't care about the environment, it will just retaliate again. Okay. So we don't want such a situation, and we can only do that by at least protecting our environment. Our own individual efforts. You see someone cleaning up or there's a project, join in or contribute something.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, towards the same and together, work together.
Yeah, and then for the media, lastly, please prioritize these environmental issues.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I know you kind of want the trend,
you know,
coronavirus, BBI, yeah, but at least you can throw in some environmental aspects so that at least you are the forefront of creating awareness
as well for the environment. Yes. All right, Manasati Omar, environmentalist, climate change activist, and you talked about an aspect of financial advisor as well. Maybe wearing many hats. Thank you so much. And Kimberly as well, financial educator and an entrepreneur, but of course a youth, ambassador for youth economic empowerment. Thank you both, for coming by and just giving us insights. And I like that aspect of being a CFO in your own home. All right, you do not have to hire one because again, we're trying to save.
True,
so take the lead as far as finances is concerned for your home. Do not buy what you do not need. Make sure that you just prioritize, and together we'll help fight this. I mean, we all stay home, wash our hands with soap and water, maintain good respiratory hygiene. Then I think at the end of the day, we might be able to contain the situation as far as COVID-19 is concerned in the country. So thank you very much, ladies. Really appreciate your time.
Stay
safe.
Likewise.
If you have to. And of course, on this other side, let me just walk to my Abdi. Hi. How you doing?
I'm good.
I can see you're ready for the news at 1.
Yeah.
But then again, even before we talk about the news and what we expect, for 1 p.m. Let's just look at the numbers.
Cases,
all right. A lot. Whew, it's a lot. We never saw this coming, but the situation is here. Over 1 million people have been infected. 53,000 people, and have died or succumbed to the illness. And of course, 181 regions, have been affected. Let's look at East Africa and all. What are we looking at?
It's truly mind-boggling to see such cases, and the number has risen to that. Most countries, like even you saw a clip going around about France, just talking about how Africa is playing around with these numbers. Like in Kenya, we only have 110 cases.
At the moment.
We need to control the number of cases that have been in this country. But Winnie, since you've been reporting on this matter, there's a little bit of mistrust between the government and the Kenyans in terms of communication. What makes it, because the numbers they're giving us are people who are quarantined.
Okay.
Don't you think they should start a mass testing for the whole country to just bring out the figures so that they can deal and not surpass cases like
this,
like Spain right now. Spain, 1,000 cases, people have died. In the United States, 1,000, and the deaths have risen to 6. Don't you think they should start mass testing?
I know, and even the World Health Organization has really been emphasizing on aspects of mass testing, and they're like, test. Do not wait until someone calls, the toll-free number for you to act. You need to test. But then again, given the health system in the country, not only in Kenya, but in Africa as a whole, we have a very weak health system, and we might not be able to do like a mass testing all at once, given that first of all, we do not have enough kits to test, almost everybody. And that is why I think the government is prioritizing. If you, one, have a history of travel, and two, you are having a little bit of symptoms here and there, call the number, and then the people will come to you and do the testing. Because if we go around testing everybody, it's what needs to be done. It's what countries like what South Korea have done. And they've been able to actually get the numbers and reduce the number of new cases. So if we conduct mass testing, that will really, really help. But then look at our situation right now as a country. We're not able to do that. So I think priority is on people who have, one, history of travel, and two, are you exhibiting some of the signs and symptoms? If you are, then you'll be tested. I mean, you'll be tested and then see what will happen from there. So when we do not have the capacity at the moment.
There have been talks around, Nairobi right now is the epicenter with 34 cases. And of course, we have 3 deaths in the country so far. And 5 counties have been spotted out as critical counties that have recorded such kind of cases. Don't you think the government should just lock down Nairobi? I know it's a dire situation. It's mind-boggling, but you cannot go to that extent. But a lockdown is looming.
And you see, we need to be very, very careful as far as lockdown is concerned, because of course so many things will happen. Some people might retaliate and go out and demonstrate on aspects of lockdown. People are saying, you know what, we might actually die of hunger. In case a lockdown is. So I think the government is taking precaution to ensure that we do not just act, the knee-jerk reaction. We do not just act, but we put a lot of things into consideration. But remember, the Health Cabinet Secretary, that is Mutahi Kagwe, said everything is on the table. So, it's just a matter of
just wait and see.
All right. So as we finish, Abdi, what do you have for us for 1 p.m.?
We have that exclusive piece with our reporter Jeff Chaim about a possible lockdown that is looming in the country. And get this, pastors now want to be enlisted. Their services need to be enlisted as essential services.
Service providers.
Yes, they have gone to that extent. They still have public health officers who are closing down hotels in Baringo, close to your hometown. They want hotels, even if hotels are doing service free delivery or service deliveries to some of these estates in around the region. They resorted to close down some of those. Remember those mass testing that are continuing, like Mombasa will start theirs next week. Other counties are coming up. Remember that the Council of Governors are complaining of little resources within the county. They don't have the capacity to take on such cases like in Nairobi. Everything is in Nairobi. Even if they get those tests, those samples are sent to Nairobi, taken to Kemri so that Kemri can analyze them.
All right. So of course, Abdi, you'll be giving us all the details as far as the news that of the day is concerned. But right here on New Day, we have to say goodbye. So thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Winnie Lubembe, trusting that you are at home or whatever you are staying safe. And we cannot preach this message enough. And that is, make sure that your hands are clean all the time. Wash with running water and soap. And if you do not have, water and soap, then make sure you sanitize as much as possible. Ensure that you observe good respiratory hygiene. Do not just cough anywhere. Make sure that you use your elbow or a disposable tissue. But most importantly is social distancing. If you do not have to be anywhere, either in town or whatever, please make sure that you stay at home. So let's ensure that we observe some of these directives that we have been given by the government, so that together we can work together towards containing the cases of COVID-19 in the country. So wishing you a lovely afternoon. Abdi is up next with the day's news. Stay with us.